This is the Wikipedia page for SARS-CoV-2 Omicron Variant, Part 2 of 4. You're listening to the podcast where we read Wikipedia articles every day and provide commentary. If you like what you hear, please subscribe and consider donating at patreon.com/WikiListen podcast so we can continue to create this show. You can find us on social media at WikiListen and at WikiListen.com. Welcome to WikiListen. I'm Victor Varnado, KSN.
And I'm Rachel Teichman, LMSW.
This article needs more medical references for verification or relies too heavily on primary sources. For the latest information about the Omicron variant, check out the CDC's website at cdc.gov. Sublineages and stealth variant. Researchers have established the existence of 3 sublineages of Omicron. The standard sublineage is now referred to as BA1/B115291, and the 2 other sublineages are known as BA2/B11529.2 and BA3/B11529.3.
I'm not good at math. All 3 can be detected by full sequencing, but BA2 has been nicknamed Stealth Omicron because it differs from the standard variety by not having the characteristic S gene target failure SGTF causing deletion Delta 69-70, by which many PCR tests are able to detect a case as an Omicron or Alpha variant. Thus, countries that primarily rely on SGTF for detection may overlook BA2. Some countries, including Denmark, use a variant qPCR that tests for several mutations, including Delta 6970, E484K, L452R, and NET and N501Y. It can also distinguish Delta, the heavily dominant variant worldwide prior to the spread of Omicron, which has L452R but not N501Y. And all Omicron sublineages which have N501Y but not L452R. As of 19 December 2021, BA2 appears to be very rare, with about 20 known cases from half a dozen countries. The third sublineage, BA3, is also very rare, and it does not represent the same potential problem in detection since it has the SGTF deletion Delta 6970 similar to BA1.
I'm so glad you had to read that paragraph and not me. Possible consequences. The World Health Organization is concerned that a large number of mutations may reduce immunity in people who were previously infected and in vaccinated people. It is also possible the Omicron variant might be more infective in this regard than prior variants. The effect of the mutations, if any, are unknown as of late November 2021. The World Health Organization warns that health services could be overwhelmed, especially in nations with low vaccination rates, where mortality and morbidity rates are likely to be much higher, and urges all nations to increase COVID-19 vaccinations.
Professor Paul Morgan, immunologist at Cardiff University, also recommends vaccination. Morgan said, "I think a blunting rather than a complete loss of immunity is the most likely outcome. The virus can't possibly lose every single epitope on its surface, because if it did, that spike protein couldn't work anymore. So, while some of the antibodies and T-cell clones made against earlier versions of the virus or against the vaccines may not be effective, there will still be others, which will remain effective. If half or 2/3 or whatever it is of the immune response is not going to be effective and you're left with the residual half, then the more boosted that is, the better."
Francois Ballou of the Genetics Institute at University College London said, "From what we have learned so far, we can be fairly confident that compared with other variants, Omicron tends to be better able to reinfect people who have been previously infected and received some protection against COVID-19. That is pretty clear and was anticipated from the mutational changes we have pinpointed in this protein structure. These make it more difficult for antibodies to neutralize the virus."
On 15 December, the European Centre for Disease Prevention and Control assessed that Even if the variant turns out to be milder than Delta, its spread will very likely increase hospitalizations and fatalities due to the exponential growth in cases caused by increased transmissibility.
Signs and symptoms. As of 28th of November 2021, the World Health Organization's update states there is currently no information to suggest that symptoms associated with Omicron are different from other variants.
A study performed between the 1st of December to the 7th of December by the Center for Disease Control found that the most commonly reported symptoms were cough, fatigue, and congestion or runny nose.
Research published in London on the 25th of December 2021 suggested that most frequent symptoms stated by users of the Zoe COVID app were a running nose, headaches, fatigue, sneezing, and sore throats.
Characteristics. Many of the mutations to the spike protein are present in other variants of concern and are related to increased infectivity and antibody evasion. Computational modeling suggests that the variant may also escape cell-mediated immunity. On 26 November, the ECDC wrote that an evaluation of the neutralizing capacity of convalescent sera and of vaccines is urgently needed to assess possible immune escape, saying these data are expected within 2 to 3 weeks.
Contagiousness. It was not known in November 2021 how the variant would spread in populations with high levels of immunity. It was also not known if the Omicron variant causes a milder or severe COVID-19 infection. According to pharmaceutical companies, vaccines could be updated to combat the variant in around 100 days if necessary.
Relating to naturally acquired immunity, Anne von Gottberg, an expert at the National Institute for Communicable Diseases, believed at the beginning of December 2021 that immunity granted by previous variants would not protect against Omicron.
On the 15th of December 2021, Ginny Harries, head of the UK Health Security Agency, told a parliamentary committee that the doubling time of COVID-19 in most regions of the UK was now less than 2 days, despite the majority of the population being vaccinated. She said that the Omicron variant of COVID-19 is probably the most significant threat since the start of the pandemic, and that the number of cases in the next few days would be quite staggering compared to the rate of growth that we've seen in cases for previous variants.
Virulence. As of 28 November 2021, the World Health Organization's update states there is currently no information to suggest that symptoms associated with Omicron are different from other variants. Increased rates of hospitalization in South Africa may be due to a higher number of cases rather than any specific feature of the Omicron variant.
On 4th of December 2021, the South African Medical Research Council reported that from 14 to the 29th of November 2021, at a hospital complex in Shawan, inpatients were younger than in previous waves, and the ICU and oxygen therapy rates were lower than in earlier waves. These observations are not definitive, and the clinical profile could change over the following 2 weeks, allowing for more accurate conclusions about disease severity. Excess deaths nearly doubled in the week of the 28th of November, suggesting underreporting, but the level was still much lower than that seen in the second wave in mid-January 2021. On the 12th of December, Director General of the World Health Organization, Tedros Adhanom, asserted that it was wrong for people to consider Omicron as mild. This is because high exposure to previous infections in South Africa lightly affects the clinical course of the new infections.
On 20 December, a report by the Imperial College COVID-19 response team based on data from England found that hospitalization and asymptomatic infection indicators were not significantly associated with Omicron infection, suggesting at most limited changes in severity compared with Delta. On 22 December, the team reported an approximately 41%, 95% CL, 37 to 45% lower risk of hospitalization requiring a stay of at least 1 night compared to the Delta variant, and that the data suggests that recipients of 2 doses of the Pfizer-BioNTech, the Moderna, or the Oxford-AstraZeneca vaccine remain substantially protected from hospitalization.
This has been the Wikipedia page for the SARS-CoV-2 Omicron Variant, Part 2 of 4. Thanks for listening to WikiListen. To support the show, go to patreon.com/WikiListen podcast and find us on social media at WikiListen and at WikiListen.com.